Episode 3692, Stop the Spread.
Moms, it's time to rediscover, rejuvenate, and renew who you are in mind, body, and spirit. Welcome to Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie, the show to help you do just that. Here's your host, certified life coach, personal trainer, and nutritionist, Christiane Wargo.
Happy day. I hope you're having a fabulous start to your Friday. Yay! Yes, it is. That means the weekend's right around the corner, and it's a more special weekend. Why is that? Oh, wait, more special? We'll talk about our English later. Oh, yes, it's all about Confessions of an Upset Mama. Happy Mother's Day weekend. But you know what? First, we have to stop the spread. For those of you who are brand new to Create Your Now, welcome to this incredible family. I'm so delighted to have your presence. If you already had the opportunity, you'll want to head on over to createyournow.com, where you can learn more and sign up for the Kisses newsletter, the Keep It Simple strategy, everyday solutions to live, love, and impact. Well, this episode is brought to you by AIM, Inspiring Connection and Community. Okay, catch your breath. Whew. It has been a crazy week for me. I don't know about you, but it has been wild. I've been traveling. I've been in conferences and meetings, and oh my goodness, I'm here with you now. And that's all that matters. And sometimes I think we as moms especially feel that way. We are trying to juggle everything in the air. We have plums and apples and oranges, and we're trying to keep all of our fruit basket afloat when really we need it just in this basket. But we're going so many different places, and it's hard for us to keep moving and grooving, and sometime, eventually, it's like it all just falls apart. I hope you'll take a moment this weekend. That doesn't mean you're going to not be able to do the dishes or that somebody else will cook dinner for you, but maybe you can just look around and see the blessings before you. Motherhood takes work. It's not easy, but let me tell you, it is the best responsibility, job, whatever you want to call it. It's a blessing. And I think we really do take it for granted. And so, kind of in honor, honestly, of Mother's Day, I wanted to look at something very specific. And I want it to be a reflection both on our past upbringing and what we can do for our present and future upbringing of our children. So it's generational. And I think about it as, cleaning and all of this and juggling things in the air. When everything comes tumbling down, it's like, oh my goodness, no one likes to clean up after each other, right? Especially after our children. It's not something we as parents like to do, especially the messes we help to create. Those generational habits we inherited from our own upbringing. And at some point, though, it's essential to sift through the tumbleweeds of our past and stop the spread of what is not beneficial in raising our children. I mean, what did you talk about with your spouse? Now, if you're divorced, that's okay. Maybe you're co-parenting, not a problem. Whoever you're parenting with, it might be the grandparents. It could be with the auntie and uncles. It may be with a best friend that's more like a sister. If you're married, okay, are you co-parenting or is it just one of you really parenting? When you were coming together, you had your kids, whether it's a blended family or not, doesn't matter. Okay, you all could be together. You could have adoption, any form of how family takes its definition in your life. At what point did you sit down and say, this is how we need to raise our kids? This is what I want to do. Or was it more like assumptions? We believe in this, so we're going to kind of do this. And then you have the kids, and all of a sudden now, terrible twos are hitting it, 14 and a half months. And you're like, wait, I've got at least another, 10 months left on the clock. It shouldn't be happening now. And all of a sudden you're in the throes, and then you're like, what am I supposed to do? Most of the time we're not having those conversations. We don't think about it until we're already in the middle of it. I want you to consider your conversations and interactions you've had over this past week with your kiddos. How did you discipline your child when something went wrong? Did you respond out of spite, or were you calm in your approach to understand the situation at hand? Unfortunately, a lot of parents practice reactive parenting and not proactive parenting. We hit the nail on the head when something happens, right? It's like, oh, got to put the fire out. It's right there. We just got to stop it. Instead of forecasting how we want our children to grow up in the world, setting them up for success as they enter adulthood. Plus, if you haven't figured it out already, raising kids is not easy. It's not. It takes a lot of work. And going back to that original conversation as you were coming together, thinking of having a family, growing it, now you have a family, and then you're, all of a sudden it's like, I got to train these kids. Doesn't that happen in school? Oh, wait, I homeschool them. Oh, wait, right? All of these different variables come into play. But then what happens when you're in disagreement or your kiddos have done something wrong or incorrect, right? In your opinion, maybe something's just not right. And whether it's they disobeyed you, you asked them to do something they didn't, you're supposed to clean your room. 10 hours later, the room's still not clean, you're in trouble. Or was it a disagreement where I want you to do this, but they ultimately refused? Is that the only time you jump up and make a declaration? Parents, here's the thing. We need to check how we parent. We need to look at what we're doing and how we're showing up. Because this is confession day, and I'm going to say it boldly. Do not take your child's voice from them. Telling your child they cannot tell you no only sets them up for many failures to come in the future. You want your child to speak up. Now, the tone they use or their approach might be more of what you want to focus on, but not taking their voice. They too need to be heard just as you want to be heard. Now, take that situation. Maybe you were raised that way. Is that the right way? I mean, think about you're driving a car. You're in 3 lanes, right? You're driving in the middle lane, just going down, minding your own business, singing to your favorite song, whatever it is. And all of a sudden, this other car is coming up upon you on the right-hand side. And they all of a sudden decide, well, I need to be in the lane that I'm in right now. Okay, well, then he just starts coming over. Doesn't check, doesn't signal, nothing. And you're right next to him. Hello, just because there's a lane there doesn't mean you get to go there. Same thing with parenting. Just because you can tell them something doesn't mean you should. You really got to think things through. And it's unfortunate because we're not parenting well. I think a lot of us want to, and we try our best, but then we don't stop long enough to really have that hard conversation with ourselves or with someone else who's co-parenting with us, whatever that looks like. The dad, if you're married, if you have a blended family, like whatever your family looks like, however that's defined. No judgment here whatsoever. You still have little ones you have to raise up. You have to figure out, how do you teach them? How do you train them so they can go out and impact the world that they touch as they move into adulthood? Going back to the example of do not tell me no, don't tell me no. Maybe you were raised this way, that you weren't to say no at all, ever. But how does that serve your purpose in the long run for your child? Their dreams, their aspirations. If your child is being hurt, don't you want them to be strong enough to say no? I mean, think about this. If your kid is on the playground and some other kid comes up, let's just use these names. And I hope your children aren't named this, but most likely somebody's got a name like this. Let's just call him Joe. So Joe, your child is on the playground. He's having a blast. And all of a sudden, the ball comes rolling over to him. So he picks it up. He doesn't know other people are playing with it. So he starts to play with it. It just rolled over to him. Now, all of a sudden, Frank comes along and Frank's like, oh, wait a minute, man, this was my ball. I'm taking it. And he just takes it. Walks off. Well, Joe's like, hello, I was playing with it. He had no idea. So he goes up to Frank. Frank, may I have the ball back? I was playing with it. Frank says, oh no, and starts to push him, shove him, right? You know where this is going. We've changed the words of teasing and all of this to bullying. And I'm not saying we as parents are at fault, but if you're telling your child you can't tell me no, What do you think that does for their psyche when they've got somebody who's doing something to them? You've taken their voice. But, a lot of people say, well, Christiane, I didn't think of it that way. That's not what I meant. Your kid doesn't know that. Your kid just hears you say, you're not supposed to tell me no. Don't ever say no to me. And what do you think comes repeatedly playing in their head over and over and over again when someone's kind of acting like they're mean? I have it my way and you don't get it your way. And what do you think they do? They clam up like a little shell, right? And they just scurry away. Now remember, this is only one example. There's thousands of examples we could go through. But in all honesty, we don't need to be here that long. You get what I'm taking, right? You get my drift. There are so many generational habits for discipline that we could sit here and go over and talk about and hash out and try to figure it out. But what I want today for you, Mom, and Dad, if you're listening, is to reflect on how you parent and make sure you are not continually honing in on these generational habits that do not support your child's mental, physical, psychological, and emotional development. If they are not serving your child well in the way that they need to be able to grow up and go into the world, then maybe you need to think things through differently. We can sit here and argue back and forth about spanking. And I'm not going to say it's right. I'm not going to say it's wrong. I'm going to say this. If you do it, make sure you're doing it in a manner that serves the purpose of what you're trying to do. Because there's a fine line there. And if you're spanking your child too much, yes, it goes to the big old A word, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's called abuse. And just because you think, oh, well, they deserved it, really? Now, I do understand all sides, and I try to listen to it. I'm not sitting here telling you what to do and how to discipline. I'm asking you to look honestly so you know that whoever is raising your children, mama and daddy, or whoever's filling those roles. Unfortunately, we have some families that are broken apart. We've got grandma raising them because mom's gone because mom's a drug addict, or dad's left and run to be with somebody else. I mean, who knows, right? I mean, so many different scenarios. That's just one scenario. Life is complicated. And it's really hard to sit down and hone in on what we need to do with these generational habits as to how we need to train up our children. But if we don't start talking about it, we can't break the cycle, and that's the key. If you think there might be a few things that you have question marks in your head in regarding the way you discipline or how you respond to your child, or wait, maybe just it's reacting. It's not even responding. You just jump in. Maybe you need to take time to break the cycle. That is your Kiss to Keep It Simple strategy. Break the cycle. And as a parent, we've got to break away from those generational habits that really cloud the upbringing of our children. And it confuses them. That's why that child, using the example of telling them, no, you can't say no to me. If they're approached by a bully, if they're approached by a stranger, I mean, let's be real. What if somebody even within your own family is doing something wrong to them and they don't have the power to say no? There's a big question mark there. Now, I'm not talking about the sass stuff, okay? Kids can be sassy and they can talk back. I get that. I'm talking about a firm no, as in, I don't want to do this. So no, mom, no, dad. But this whole thing is you can't say no. Think about that. Think about the ramifications that goes with that statement, not just within the privacy of your own four walls. And that's the thing. we've got to look at how we're disciplining. What does the equation look like for the life of the child? Where do we have them headed? Are we pigeonholing them to the point where it's like, gosh, we keep saying this and we don't know? And sometimes, and let me just say this, it's so confusing because, again, this is not judgment here, because I personally have gone through, okay, what could I do differently? And you've heard the saying probably, or I probably won't get it right, but the idea of, well, you practice on the first and second, maybe by the third or fourth, you get it right. And so people are like, oh, well, that's why the fifth or sixth or seventh child, right? The last two children or the last one child seems like they got it easy. No, it's just that parenting looks different now. Because, yeah, practice was done. But let me tell you this, that's also an excuse. Don't be that parent. Don't be that parent that says, you know what, I was just practicing because it sounds cute. No. Own your own junk. That's a mature parent that says, you know what, I want to do better. And sometimes, yeah, in the moment, you do the best that you can, right? Most parents are doing the best that they can, and that's fabulous. But I'm here to remind you, we can do better. That includes me. And just because you think, oh, well, my kids are getting older, I don't really need to discipline them. No, you may not need to discipline them, but you're going to have conversations with them, and it's going to look different. I know I'm learning that with my children now and my grandbabies. Now, I will tell you this, I am a very firm woman and I have a tone. And my children know all I have to do is give them a look. Even to this day, they'll be like, oh, that's mom look. We know. I don't have to say a word. Fire comes out of the eyes. No, I'm joking. But you know what I'm saying, right? I think what happens, though, is that when we as parents think that we're untouchable, that's a detriment to our children. Parents, we've got to make some changes too. It's not about our children. You see, having children changes us 1,000%. And if it doesn't, you better get into some deeper reflection because something's not connected right. I'm being serious with you. Children change you, in my opinion, for the better. But are you changing for the children too? Because if you're like, no, I'm not going to change. I am who I am, and they have to come to me. All right, that's where we get issues. And you wonder why we have so many family issues within whatever your family structure is, doesn't matter. Because when our kids are being disciplined by us, understand this. They already know that they did wrong. Because quite frankly, our kids are brilliant. They know things before we know things. It just happens. It's magical. It's a children's gift, but then you turn a certain age and you lose it. I don't know how that works, but it's just magic like that. Okay, now I'm kind of being funny with that. But seriously, our kids are smart. So don't sit there and think that your child doesn't know how to, work it the right way, how to work mommy against daddy and play one side to the other. Yeah. But what you're doing and how you're disciplining them and how you talk to them and the tone of voice that you use and how you model to them, let me tell you, they're paying attention. They're watching everything you do. And if you think that you can keep doing and living life the same way you did before you had children, you got another thing coming. You do. And most likely, your children are going to have some issues. I'm being honest with you. And that's sometimes a hard thing to take in because we just keep living our lives like, oh, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Not only do you matter, but your child matters. And so what does it look like to break the cycle? How can we begin to sit there and say, okay, Christiane, I know, I get you. I understand. I want to see if I'm doing what's right for me. Remember, I'm not telling you how to raise your kiddos. That is not my job here. You get to determine all of that. That is your job. They're your children. but you have to look at what's right for your family structure. So how do you break the cycle? Number one, reflect on your own upbringing. You got to take that time to say, you know what? What was it like? What parenting style was I brought up on? Think back. Consider what worked well and what didn't. Now, keep in mind that you're going to remember things differently than what happened as a child because they are childhood memories, and you're going to start changing those. Our memories change. So your reflection might need to involve your family to understand the specifics of what you're searching for. It's okay to ask, why did you do this? You're old enough to get the real answer. And if they say to you, if you're blessed to still have your parents alive, and they say to you, oh, well, we did well because, our parents did it. That's not a good enough answer. Being honest with you, that's not a good enough answer. Recognizing patterns from past generations can help you identify areas for improvement and change. What's working, what's not working. Also, personality types. When you have a child, right, and maybe you were a quote unquote certain child, watch how you were labeled as a child. Hopefully you weren't. I pray that your mother or father or whoever raised you did not label you. But if they did, I want to tell you I'm sorry right now. Because unfortunately, when we place a label on a kid, that's their ceiling. And they don't go any further. Don't let anybody ever tell you what you can and cannot do in this life. If you want to be an astronaut, go be an astronaut. If you want to be in the Olympics, go be in the Olympics. Is it going to take work? All of the above? Of course it is. If you want to be a trash man, you want to be an IT professional, an engineer, whatever it is, go be it. But you got to reflect, right? Think back. Was I labeled as a kid? How did this stuff, affect me? A lot of this, though, is going to come from your middle school and high school. It's going to be harder to think down into the lower elementary age group. Number one, you have other memories that have taken over. And also be cautious that you actually are remembering it versus being told a story. There's a difference there too. So you may have to have some conversations with other people, and not just one. It may be multiple conversations. But we've got to reflect on our own upbringing. What did that look like? What did we like? What we didn't like? Maybe what we need to change. Maybe it's not appropriate now because of whatever it is. And then number two, seek out new parenting resources. There is so many things out there and available. But you've got to seek out those resources and information that align with your values and your beliefs, whatever they are. Again, I'm not structuring this for you. You need to go and dig into that. There are tons of opportunities for you to gain knowledge, to get clarity, and to understand your options to best train up your child. For example, you could attend parenting workshops. Maybe you can attend some, the best parent type of thing at your church, whatever it is. Read books by experts in child psychology. Join parent support groups to gain fresh perspectives. Maybe it's actually going to a child therapist, we'll say it that way. Oh my goodness. A child therapist, and ask them some point blank questions as to what it matters for your child. And maybe you don't have anything that you think is wrong with your child, but you're trying to get a step ahead of your child, right? You want to dig deeper. The more questions you ask, the better you're going to learn. And let me tell you this, if you think you know it all, or if you think your parents knew it all, you got something coming, because I'm telling you right now, I know more now than what I did when I was first a parent. And I know my children, if you asked all 5 of them, they would say I was a perfect parent. No, they would not. They would not say that at all. They would complain. They would say they had, issues with mom and dad, whatever. But I can guarantee you this, they know that they were loved unconditionally. Does your child know that about you? Remember that when you're looking at your sources, right? Be sure you do your own research also and what's best for your family's values. Don't take somebody else's word for it. Dig in deeper. Have serious conversation. And it's hard. I know it is because there is so much stuff out there. So again, you just got to really make sure it's right. Don't make assumptions. Because let me tell you this, it will either help your child or it will scar your child in what you do and how you discipline. And a lot of people won't talk harsh like that. But I want to lay out the full reality because this is important. Talk about a confession day. And I know it's Mother's Day weekend. I get it. And we need to celebrate our moms. And I do. I celebrate you. It's a hard, beautiful, awesome, exhausting job to be a mama. But let me tell you, it's not a job. It truly is an honor. And I would not change it for the world. I could be promised a whole world, billions of dollars, and I still would not take it. My children mean that much to me. But I would ask you the same thing because I know there are people. They're like, yeah, no, if I could do it over again, maybe I wouldn't have kids. Or, oh, wait, my kids are great. Only when I get to use them as my trophies. Like, oh, look at me. I'm the best, whoever you are. Look at me. This is what I've done for them. Look at me, right? I mean, you can have that. You've got to really understand where you're coming from. That, my friend, makes you an incredible parent. And then finally, number 3, practice present parenting. This is this practice of mindfulness when it comes to your parenting approach, about staying present and engaged with your child. A lot of times, we're just kind of doing our own thing and we react, but we forget to respond. Actions speak louder than words. Even in the silence, they're watching. So be conscious of your reactions and responses. Take that time to listen completely, fully. Empathize with your child's feelings. And by being intentional and really paying attention, you get to break the cycle of reactive parenting and you get to cultivate a more positive and nurturing environment and nurturing relationship with your child. That unconditional love, that no matter what they do, you still love them. That doesn't mean you like their actions, right? Those terrible 2 tantrums, nobody likes a meltdown in the middle of the store. We've all been there. And if you're not quite there, know that we already are covering you in prayers because it's going to happen. It just is. That's life. But I will say this, it's still precious. Don't take it for granted. Your children are a blessing. So be willing to take proactive steps to break these generational habits in parenting. The stuff that really doesn't work or doesn't work well with your child because your child has a certain personality. And they're like, yep, can't do that. Doesn't work for me. You may have to discipline one child one way and another child another way and another child another way where you're like, oh my goodness, I can't keep everybody straight. No, it's called you get to keep one kid at a time straight. And you get to discipline that child. They have a discipline plan. Then there's the next one has another discipline plan. Otherwise, if you're treating everybody the same, yes, you treat them the same, as in you're loving them unconditionally. But sometimes it takes, okay, timeout works here, but oh, wait, maybe we need to, write a thesis statement over here or read a book, whatever it is, on how to really bring it home to your child. And I know this is tough and nobody wants to talk about it. That's why I'm sitting here talking about it. So take a deep breath. Oh, I got to take a deep breath. This has been a long one, I know. But it was something that really has been on my heart lately. And it's one that I think we need to talk more about because we are raising the next generation. That, my friend, is huge. In fact, huge isn't even a big enough word. It's humongous. That's a humongous responsibility. Did you know your child could be the president of the United States? Well, if you live in the United States, it is. And they were born in the U.S. You have to be born to be the president, right, in the U.S. Okay, now that we've got our history out of the way. But seriously, right? I mean, you don't know. They could be an incredible inventor. They could cure a disease. We have no idea what our children are going to do. But they can't do it if we're not there to love them unconditionally and we don't train them up in a manner, not because we have these generational habits that were brought in to us, but because we sat down and we really thought through and we used our mind and we put our ego to the side of saying, you know what, it's okay if I was wrong, but I can change and be better now. I can make a difference because I'm making a difference in my child's life. That is being the best parent ever. I pray you have a blessed Mother's Day weekend. Enjoy some time. If nothing else, at least go lock yourself in the closet so you can breathe for 2.5 seconds and then get back to real life. But no, seriously, happy Mother's Day. Go in peace. Be present. Be incredible. Be you. I love you so very much. I cannot wait to see you on the other side. Blessings, hugs, and lots of love. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a glorious, blessed weekend. Bye-bye.
Feeling inspired, ready to train for life and love your journey? Visit createyournow.com for more incredible resources to help you along the way. We'll see you next time on Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie. And remember, always be sure you consult your physician before beginning any health and fitness plan.